Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be discussing all of the books that I read in the month of May, as well as a little June TBR. It is also storming randomly out of nowhere right now, so we got a nice little ambiance for this video, and I'm very excited. I haven't filmed a TBR wrap-up video in quite some time, and I'm very excited to be talking about loads of books with you guys. Let's just get right into it. I ended up reading 6 books in the month of May, which I feel like is pretty good. So the first book that I finished in May was A Perilous Undertaking by Miss Deanna Raybourn. If you have been around for the last month or so, you would definitely know that I have become obsessed with the Veronica Speedball series, and I have to say, so far, this is my favorite book in the series. I give this a 4.5 out of 5. The rating for all the books have pretty much been 4.5 or 4 stars, but there's just something about this one that I absolutely adored and I really loved. Jeez Louise. And then I followed that up with A Treacherous, which is book 3. I read both of these books in a week, which I have a vlog for on my channel if you are interested. And this one I think is my least favorite out of the 3 that I have read so far. I still give it a 4 out of 5, but there was just something about the first one that really captivated me, and then the second one just really did something for me. But this one was a different change of pace than the other books, because the first ones were mostly like murder mystery focused and like figuring out who did the murders and stuff, but this one had like a little treasure hunting element to it. So it was really interesting and I really liked it. But there was a few things in this book that I didn't necessarily enjoy the most, but for the most part I really did like this book, and I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 as well. So the Veronica Speedball series is kind of like a murder mystery investigating type of story with a very slow burn romance in the back, and I am really enjoying my time. I've also been having issues with my asthma recently, and I think I have some sort of virus as well, so if my voice sounds a little deep and I sound congested, that is why I'm struggling just a little bit, but we're doing fine. And then next up, we read the next 2 volumes of Spy Family. I read volumes 8 and volume 9, and I did enjoy these relatively. I enjoyed them when I was reading it, but thinking back on it now, I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I thought I did. It was just nice to have like a quick little read and to be with these characters, but I'm still really missing the vibes of the story when it was really early on. I talked about this in my last wrap up a little bit, but the first 4 volumes are just superior in my opinion, and I feel like it's just going downhill, and I don't know why, but I did enjoy these 2 volumes relatively so, and I gave them a 4 out of 5, but thinking back on it now, I don't really remember anything that happened in them. I gave these a 4 out of 5, but I'm still really missing the vibes of the earlier books. There's just something about them that's just unmatched. So for those of you who don't know, Spy Family is a manga series about Twilight, he is a spy, and he is given a mission to basically form a fake family to save the world, essentially. So he ends up adopting a daughter, which she ends up being a telepath, so she knows that he is a spy, but then to kind of further his family image, he needs to find a fake wife, and so that's when he finds Yor, and she's actually an assassin, and Anya, being a telepath, she's able to read both of their minds, so she knows that Twilight is a spy and Yor is an assassin, so she's kind of just stuck in the middle trying to help both of them with their little missions, and it's just so much fun. And if you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend. There's also an anime for it. I believe it's on Hulu, which I haven't seen yet, but I really want to. But I just love the vibes, but I am missing how it was earlier in the series. But you know, I'm still going to continue to read it even if my enjoyment level as enjoyous as it used to be. I don't know if I worded that correctly at all. And next up, we have a really fun book, and that was Screaming Staircase, which is book 1 in the Lockwood & Co. series. I watched the show on Netflix, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I was absolutely devastated and heartbroken and just really upset at the fact that Netflix decided to cancel the show after 1 season when it had so much potential. I kind of wish they would have kept going. So that is why I'm very glad that there's a book series to go along with it, because the book series is completed and I can still be with these characters and still spend time with them, and I'm just so upset that the show is over. I gave this a 3.75 out of 5. I don't know why, but that just felt like a good rating for it, and it was very on par with what happens in the show and everything that goes on, and it was really cool since I did watch the show beforehand. I could distinctly picture the characters and stuff, because sometimes when I read books I have an issue with like seeing the characters. Sometimes they're just little blobs floating in my mind, and everything that happened in the show happens in the book, and I just had a really good time with it, and I'm really excited to continue on with the series and figure out what happens from here. I believe that the first season of the show follows the first 2 books. So I have one more book to go before I get to the new content, and then I can figure out what's behind the door, because that's literally all I want to know. And I've said that in every video where I talk about Lockwood & Co, but like I just need to know what's behind the door. It's driving me nuts. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend it. The series is about Lucy, and she has the ability to hear ghosts. Something happens in this world where ghosts are kind of unleashed and they are very dangerous. Younger people have a better tendency to see the ghost, hear the ghost. They have different talents regarding the ghosts. So there's kind of like ghost agencies where they have to find the ghost and kind of exorcise it, I guess. I'm doing a very, very bad job at explaining this. After a really tragic event that happens at her school, she ends up leaving and seeking out work, basically, and that's where she stumbles upon Lockwood & Co. We start that all up, something else happens, and it's really good. I really enjoy the series. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend it, especially if you like ghosty, spooky, found family type of stories. This is perfect for you. And then the last book that I read in the month of May was honestly one of my favorite books that I read, The Dreadful Tale of Prosper by Alexandra Bracken. I have been wanting to read this book since it came out, and I'm so glad that I finally got around to it. This was the perfect book. I feel like this just had all the vibes that I needed, all the vibes that I wanted. It had spooky atmosphere, it had ghosties, it was set in fall, and like just the way that like the atmosphere was described, I really loved it. If you don't know, fall is my favorite season, and it is superior to all other seasons, so this was just perfect, and I had a really, really good time with this book. I gave this a 4 out of 5, and I cannot wait to read the second book. It ended on a cliffhanger, and I need to know what happens. This book is following our main character, Prosper Redding, and he is born into this very wealthy family, very well-known family that is basically the founders of the town that they live in. But what he doesn't know, there is a secret underlying culty ritual type of thing going on. One of his great somethings ended up making a deal with a demon, which they call them fiends in this world, and he ended up breaking the contract, and now there was like a whole thing going on with his family, and so somehow the fiend is reawakened and it is put into Prosper's body, and he's trying to navigate living with this thing inside of him, as well as figuring out what really happened in his family history, and it's just really fun. I really like this book. I feel like this is like the perfect like Halloween October type of read. I'm in the Halloween October reads mood all the time, so I love this. So that is all the books that I read in the month of May. Now we are jumping into my little TBR. So the first book that I have on my TBR list is one that I actually started last night. I only got like 4 pages into it, so not very much progress was made. But that is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, and I've been wanting to read this book for a long time, basically since I discovered booktube, because it's just been talked about so much. And I have a new work in progress that I'm currently writing in very, very early stages, but there may or may not be a circus involved in the story, and so I'm kind of using this as research as well as a little fun time, because like I said, I've been wanting to read this forever, and I don't really know how to describe this book. I feel like a lot of people already know what this story is about, so I'm not gonna go too deep into the details. Next up, we have a Dangerous collaboration, which is the 4th book in the Veronica Speedwell series. I don't really need to say much about this, but I'm really missing the world, and I feel like the break that I took was a good break, and I just want to get back into this world because I miss it so much. I miss Veronica, I miss Stoker, I miss the shenanigans they got up to, and I need more Veronica Speedwell content. And then next up, we have the Besties and Books book club pick for the month of June, which is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I have been wanting to read this since October of last year because I saw Lisa over at With Love Lisa talking about it, and it just seems like such a good time. I read the X-Hex last year and I really enjoyed it, and this feels like it's going to have similar vibes because it's contemporary, but it has like a little something with witchiness in it, and I'm very excited for this one. So if you guys would like to join us in our little buddy read for our book club, definitely let us know. I have all the information for Besties and Books in the description at all times, so let us know if you will be joining us and reading The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches in June. It's a very, very long title. Next, we have a new release, which is also on my 23 books to read in 2023 list, and that is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. I read Peoria of the Orange Tree a couple years ago, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I didn't even know that we were going to be getting another book, and I am very excited for this one. It has dragons, it's just so perfect, it's a really good high fantasy, and I really adored the first book, and it got me back into reading after like a year-long slump, so I'm very excited for this one. I have started it, but I honestly don't remember, so I'm gonna have to start from the beginning again. And then lastly, on my June TBR, I don't feel like grabbing the book, so I'm not going to. I want to get back into the Raven cycle, so I don't know if I'm going to reread the whole series, if I'm gonna start from the beginning, or if I'm just gonna continue on where I left off. I'm currently on the 3rd book, but I have read the first book 2 times, and I have read the second book once. So I don't know if I want to reread the whole entire series just to get back to where I was, or if I'm just gonna jump right in and hope that I remember, which I feel like I'll try to jump in, and if I don't remember, we can backtrack and start from the beginning again. But that is all that I have for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys read in the month of May, what you got planned for reading in June. I would love to know. If you've made it to this point in the video, I love you so much. Comment down below the green heart emoji to match the green nails, which, what do you think about them? I'm kind of torn. I don't know how I feel about this type of green, but you know, I feel like it's something a little different. But I hope you guys are all doing well. I will see you in my next video. Take care and goodbye.